My name is Dr. Joseph Muriu. I'm here to represent an organization called MEDS. I'm sure most of you knows it. It's called Mission for Essential Drugs and Supplies. So at the end of the presentation, for the few of us maybe who have not had a chance to interact with MEDS, I would want us to have gathered as much information as possible. So MEDS, next slide. So MEDS, our motto is that we are driven by quality. So in everything that we do, quality comes first. The other things then can follow, things like price and all the other things. So as I make my presentation, that will be the center or the bolt that holds MEDS together. Next slide. So as a brief, our corporate identity is that we were founded in 1986, some 37 years ago. And in terms of ownership, we are owned by the church in terms of two secretariats that came together in 1986 to do a joint trust. And that is the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops and the Christian Health Association of Kenya. Those two secretariats represent the Catholics in the house and the Protestants in the house. Next slide. So in terms of our strategic direction is that we do a 5-year strategic plan. And so currently we have started a new one for 2023 to 2027. We just finished the other one and the performance was impressive. We attained most of the things that we had the purpose to do. In terms of our pillars, you can see the house that is displayed there. So where we want to be is the blue section, and how we are going to get there is through 3 pillars. Number 1, and the most important, is at the bottom. It's called institutional strengthening and operational excellence, in that we are going to make sure that our operations are streamlined to be efficient as much as possible and to also be effective. Then the other 2 pillars will be diversification and partnership. Next slide. Then in terms of our vision and mission is that we are, for a vision or where we aspire to be in the long run is to be a faith-based organization that provides transformative health solutions globally. So we want to move beyond the boundaries of Kenya to Africa and the globe. And then in terms of our mission statement is that we do provide reliable and affordable health products and technologies, quality assurance, and health system strengthening. And I hope those of us who are our clients can probably attest to the quality of our services and the quality of our products. So we are also guided by 5 core values as displayed on the screen: integrity, customer focus, innovation, teamwork, and equity. Meaning that when we are serving the customers, when we are serving our suppliers, we have to be of highest transparency and accountability and to treat everyone equally. Next slide. So those are 3 mandates or key mandates why we exist, and you can abbreviate them as QA, SC, HSS. That means that it's like a chain. All those activities are interlinked in that one supports the other 2, and they work together. They have to work together, the 3 of them. So that represents supply chain and logistics, quality assurance services, and health system strengthening. And under the HSS is where we are currently implementing a project on behalf of the USAID, Kenya. Then in terms of our core competencies, what makes us different from or the people we are in the same market with, I don't want to call them our competitors. These are the people that we work together of the patients. But what makes MEDS outstanding? I picked 3 items, which I call resources, people, and processes. And under resources is to say that we have a very expansive warehouse, both in Nairobi and also a branch in Kisumu. And you're able to hold up to 9,756 bin locations, the standard bin locations, or pallet bin locations. Then also to say that we have automated our systems In terms of our enterprise resource planning, the laboratory is also being automated fully, and then we're also using the barcode system so that we can scan in and scan out commodities. We also have an in-house laboratory, which is among the few ones in the world that have been pre-qualified by the World Health Organization. And then we have also constructed a microbiology laboratory, which very soon is also going to gain the same standards. Then in terms of people, I want to say proudly that we have 12 registered pharmacists. Majority of them are here. It's only the MD and 2 others who are not able to come for the reasons that they could not. They had to cancel their participation at the last meeting. But we make an attempt to make sure that all of us are here and we participate in all the forums. Then also is to say that our top level management is 60% comprised of pharmacists. That's also another proud area for us because the decisions they make at the top level have implication in the entire organization. So when the pharmacists are represented there, we are proud that the decisions that come out of that will be to safeguard the patient. But we also have other professionals, the nurses, procurement specialists, and all that. Then in terms of processes, we have processes and key performance indicators that make sure that we fulfill the needs of the customers and the patients. In that when you make an order with us, we have a commitment to deliver 98% order fill rate by value. That means if you give us an order of 1 million, we commit to do at least 98% of it. Currently, we have not attained that target, but we are above 95, and very soon we'll be at 98%. Okay, I'll try fast. So in terms of turnaround time, we have a commitment to do 2 days. And then for the laboratory, we have a commitment to do 25 working days. Then in terms of our inventory accuracy, we want to do 99% accuracy, and then we have a 24 hours operation. This one is not the whole week. It's activated whenever we have a need. Next slide. So these are just photos. I'll show them quickly. This is a microbiology laboratory. We move to the next one. This is the warehouse, how it looks for those who have not been to MEDS. Again, move. Then our cold room, it's a walk-in cold room constructed in 2017. Next one. Then we have a medical equipment line. So for those who will come to MEDS, you'll get a chance to see it. But you can get any equipment there. Then our organogram, I'll not explain much about it. Next one. So in terms of certification, this is important. So number one and the most important is that we have the poison bond to operate the kind of business that we do. And then we also ISO 9001 2015 certified for our quality management system. Then we have a certification by the USA or FDA. I've put the full meaning of that. Then we also are recognized by DG ECO as a procurement, humanitarian procurement center, or HPC. And then I also say that our lab is among the few that are pre-qualified by the WHO. So those are some of the certifications that we have gained over the years. Then quickly. This is just to show the journey that we started in 1986. So up to where we are now in 2023, these are some of the steps that we have managed. I just mentioned that the lab was started in 1997. Then around 2012, we got the ISO certification for the first time. And then the lab was pre-qualified by WHO in 2009. And we have other important milestones in the rest of the years. In terms of our clientele, for the supply chain and logistics, we serve more than 3,000 clients. Majority of you are represented here, and we are proud of that. And the category of those clients is mostly faith-based, the public, non-governmental organization, and some private hospitals. Then in terms of country representation, those are some of the countries that we have served, including DRC, Malawi, Chad, Somalia, and South Sudan. And we do this in collaboration with the non-governmental organizations. Let's move. Then for the quality control laboratory, we have managed to serve more than 20 countries, again represented by the regulatory authorities, government agencies, NGOs, and donor-funded agencies. And I have shown there the representation of the countries that we have able to serve in terms of testing of pharmaceutical medicines and also fighting the fight against substandard and falsified medicines. Move. Then that's just a representation of our market segment. I'll not explain much. Next one. So in terms of our quality assurance, very briefly, is that we have a very stringent mechanism for ensuring that everything that we procure goes through the quality checks. And by the time it comes to meds, it has met all the requirements to serve the client's needs. So the process starts with the pre-qualification. For those who are currently serving meds as a suppliers, they know how we do this. But this will entail even going to the manufacturing site for what we call the vendor audits. And also part of this is to make sure that that manufacturing site and the distributor, they have been approved by the Pharmacy and Poisons Board. So that is a minimum requirement. Then you also do product pre-qualification, which has a bit of quality testing in our lab. Then product inspection is when that product is approved, then we subject it to physical test where we check the physical parameters like labeling and other requirements before we can allow the product into the warehouse. Then product sampling and testing is when now the commodity is in the warehouse, we will do random sampling. On a month, we sample at least 80 products randomly. We test them. And in case there is any issue with the quality of the product, if it doesn't meet the specifications, then we'll raise the issues with the suppliers and also involve the regulator where possible. And then there are corrective actions and preventive actions that will be done after that before the product can be readmitted into meds. We also handle quality complaints. We do product recalls. And we also have processes for pharmacovigilance in line with the regulatory requirements in Kenya. Then the other side is how we assure the systems, quality assurance, by ensuring that all our documentation and standard operating procedures are aligned. Then we have a process for change management. In case you want to do any significant change to the QMS, there's a process that you have to follow. Then deviations and corrective action, preventive actions, we again have a detailed process for managing those. Equipment validation and calibration, and then self-inspection. We do assess our performance every now and then when we have a scheduled plan for that. I'll move very fast in the next of the slide because I've explained most of them. Again, it's important to say that at MEDS, we have our own in-house formulary, but it doesn't work, it doesn't come with its own list. We depend very much on the requirements of our clients. And we also rely very much on the lists that have been provided as essential lists by the World Health Organization and the Kenya Essential Medicines list. Whatever we add on top of that is what has been proposed by our clients, because we give them a forum to tell us what we should delete and what we should add. Moving on. This I've already explained is a pre-qualification process. The steps that someone has to be taken before they can be admitted as a supplier to meds. And the tendering process that we have is closed system. That means if you are not pre-qualified, you will not have access to our tender document. But if you are pre-qualified, then we'll have a chance to provide your commodities to meds. Moving on. This is just a photo of the product inspection. What we do is that for every batch that comes into meds, we do 100% check of that batch. Moving on. Then this is a graphical representation of the surveillance that we do internally at our own cost. So the sampling that we do and testing, we do not charge anyone. We do it at our own cost in our own laboratory. And this is a trend. So you can see on the left, we have been, the number of samples that we've tested over the years have been on the increase. They only declined in 2021. Then you can see that on the right, the failure rate has been on the decline over the years. That means that MEDS has been able to do to put systems in place that reduced the failure rate from 13.2 in 1997 to 2.1 by 2021. And if I get the data as of now, the the percentage could be lower. So we are also helping in the fight against substandard and falsified medicines in Kenya and Africa. Moving on. So this is a picture of the quality control hub and the facility that we have. I don't want to repeat the pre-qualification that we have, but the process of sample analysis is there. And we offer this service also to external clients. If you're a supplier, if you're a manufacturer, if you're a regulatory authority, and you want testing from a WHO pre-qualified lab, you are welcome to MEDS, and we'll do it at a very small fee. Moving on. Then you can go to the next slide and say that what I picked from this is that in terms of a turnaround time, we have committed to do 2 days turnaround time. But for those orders that have to go to the rural health facilities, then we will allow us to do 5 days. Then in terms of the lab analysis, we have a commitment to do 23 days for sample testing. These are working days. Then order field rate, I had said it's more than 98% of what you've given us. Then in terms of supplier payment, within a week of the due date, we should be able to have paid you. Then in terms of responding and investigating quality complaints, we do it within 3 days. But for those that require testing, then there will be additional time for testing. Moving on. I'll not go into the details of this, but that is a process that we use in our supply chain. So the next slides will just be photos of our warehouse. I had already said that we are compliant with all the good distribution practices requirement. We have the warehouse, it is fitted with the automated temperature monitoring system in that you're able to know the temperature of the warehouse or the humidity. You can access it in your phone. You can be sent reports on your emails. You can also access it in your laptop, even when you are in Diani, so you're able to know when there's a problem. The same applies to the cold room. Moving on. The areas are segregated as a requirement so that the narcotics, the hazardous products, the cold products, the frozen products, and those that have been quarantined are kept in different locations. So let's move on. The last slide. I'll not explain that. That is the inventory management. Move on. I'm in the last slides. So I'll spend this 1 minute with the permission of the moderator to mention about a project that we're implementing on behalf of the USAID and the US government. So it's called USAID Supply Chain Strengthening Project. This is a project that we took over in June 2021, working together with KEMSA, so that we can distribute commodities for HIV, TB, and malaria throughout the 47 counties. And in terms of performance, it has been good. We've been able to distribute 97,000 separate orders since then. And then we have met all the KPIs that had been set by the donor working with the KEMSA. So we believe that our performance has been impressive, and I hope the same has been reflected on the ground, but we are willing to take feedback. Then the next one is just a show of the same. Move on. And the last one, that's just an illustration of the performance on the KPIs. If you want to contact MEDS, that is our email address, and sorry for extending the time.
Thank you. Thank you, Joseph.